Hello, my name is Bruce. Welcome to my studio. Today we're going to paint a little scene in the woods with a little waterfall. I'm putting on here first a little bit of cerulean blue, and put a little bit of gray to it and a little bit of white. Next, what I'm going to do is I'm going to have a line of bushes. So I'm going to take some I guess I'll mix it up with a viridian and a burnt sienna and maybe a touch of Prussian blue. Now I'm just going to make little bushes like so. It's going to be a background. When you're doing this, just make sure that it's not that even. Break it up. Now I'm going to add a little bit of yellow ochre to that mixture. Just a little, not much. You can hardly see it, but it's there. And it'll show eventually. And we're going to add a little bit of yellow to the same mixture. And we're going to scratch in some branches into it. Just little trunks of the trees. And depending, we may come back to that area. Next, what we're going to do, we're going to put some water. And the water that I'm going to be using is going to be Ultramarine Blue and a touch of that Cerulean Blue. And I'm going to just put a touch of Sienna into that to sort of tone it down. Going to be a little dark, and we want to pull in some of those greens. So we'll go to about here. Then what we're going to do, we're going to turn around a corner. And this area here is going to be a waterfall. But before I put the waterfall in, I'm just going to do the back part. Now the back part of it, I'm going to take a brush, and I'm just going to use a little bit of sienna, burnt sienna, and a little bit of Dyke Brown, and I'm going to make a little embankment back here. And I'm going to put a touch of white and blue to that. Then we're going to put the waterfall in, and then we're going to come back to the bushes again. I'm going to widen that up a little bit. For the waterfall, what I'm going to use a fan brush, and I'm going to use a little bit of medium to make it sort of liquidy. Not too liquidy, but liquidy. Then we're going to create a bit of a waterfall. At the bottom, I'm just going to put a little foam. Then I'm going to go into the back side of that where the water is, and I'm going to put a little bit of Prussian Blue and a little bit of Ultramarine. I like it nice and dark. And we're going to go right in behind where the waterfall is. We're going to put a little bit more grass, or a little bit more of the color of the background. I'm going to leave a little area here because I'm going to put a little bit of a rock. We'll come back to this and highlight this. Now I want this a little off lighter color than what we had before. Now what we're going to do, we're going to highlight this a bit. Take a little bit more of the yellow side of it. Put in a couple marks for stems. Put in a couple rocks. Now with the rocks, what I'm going to do, I'm going to take some Vandyke Brown, and I'm going to take some Sienna. I'm going to make it fairly dark to start with. One on the other side too. And I'm going to add to that just a little bit of more Sienna than the Vandyke Brown. I'm going to take some yellow ochre. And I'm going to go switch over now to back to the river. I'm going to use some Ultramarine Blue, a little bit of Prussian Blue, and I want to dull that down a little bit, so I'm going to put a little bit of Sienna with it. It's going to be fairly dark. Now I'm going to do the edges with a lighter color. I'm going to go back to our sky color with white. And I'm going to go right over the color that we put in. Clean my brush, picking up too much of the dark blue. Now in this area here, I'm going to put more white than blue, because that's where the water is making lots of bubbles. I'm going to go back to that very area, and I'm going to take my fan brush again, taking some white, and I'm just going to make it foamy. Now we're going to go to the area of the banks, and I'm going to put in areas of rock, sand, and I'm going to put it right down to the water. Then I'm going to take a little bit of white, and when I'm using the white, what I'm going to be taking is my palette knife. And I'm just going to create a little rocky, sandy area all the way through. Then I'm going to take a small brush with my darker green, and just above that rock, I'm just going to touch and make a little grass area. Now in this area here, we're going to start working at the bottom and work towards the top. What we're going to do, we're going to create sand beneath the water. So we're going to start with a fairly dark color. We'll have to play, that's fairly dark. I'm going to put a little bit of dark here first, right along the front. Then I'm going to add white to that and sienna. More white than that. This is going to be a sandbank. Now I'm going to take my blue, and with my blue I'm going to take a bit of green. So I'm going to take my blue, and then I'm going to put a bit of green into that. Just making little streaks to begin with. Then I'm going to take a soft brush again, this time blue, a light blue to sky blue, and I'm going to blend all these colors in. I want that green right in the water. Change your brush or clean it. Add some more blue. As you get into this area here, go lighter. Go right into the brown. We want to pick up that brown too. You see what's happening to the water, the shape of that water? Now drag some of that brown into the water. Now take a moment to, in the front area, to smooth it out. So I'm just going to go very gently across the front. Any white areas, just take the edge and brush it into the paint. I'm going to go back into the area near the brown and add white with a little brown to it, right in these areas. Then blend that in. And now we're going to have some fun. We're going to put some rocks underneath the water now. And how we do that, we just take a darker color of what we're using here. So let's just see if we can find a darker color. Try this first. No, not dark enough. That's not too bad. So I'll just put a little half moons in to begin with. Then I'm going to switch up change the colors from time to time. I'm going to go light, I'm going to go dark. No random pattern. Just don't make it straight across like a little ruler. Or there is a random pattern, just anywhere at all. But don't let it end up being straight across all the time. As we get in the distance, just put them a little closer. In this area here, I think we're going to put a big rock. But in the meantime, I'm just going to go on the bottom of some of these. I'm going to make sure they're dark. Now we're going to take a soft brush and we're going to very gently smooth these out. This is going to be a fast moving stream. So let's go back to those rocks, and some of them we're going to make sure they're above the water. This one's going to be above the water. and how we're going to identify them. We're going to highlight some of these. Now I'm going to put a couple rocks in this area here. I'll put one here. Any shape at all. I'm going to do these first. So next I'm going to put some Sienna onto the rocks. Then I'm going to take a little bit of white with blue, not much blue, just a little bit. Too much. Then I'm going to come back and I'm going to blend some of these colors. So take a nice soft brush, really small too. Just blend a couple of these colors. Putting a little bit of yellow ochre now into my white. Now we'll take another brush. This time I'm going to take a smaller brush where I can blend the darkness of that stone into the water. You want to have that little shadow look. Go very soft, drag it right into the water. Now take a liner brush. Take a liner brush that's very, very thin. This is how thin mine is, almost like a needle. And we're going to take white with a little bit of blue. And we're going to create little areas where the water that's rushing down that waterfall is splashing against those rocks. And then take some just white, nothing else, and just touch it in the front of the rocks like so. Get a little bit of that nice splash. Now the front part, we're going to put a big rock here in the corner. So we'll start that with dark brown. Let's see here. Now I'm going to take some yellow orcha and a little bit of that color mixed, making it a little bit on the browner side, lighter brown side. Then we're going to take our whites. And we're going to put a little bit of gray in there. So we're going to take a little bit of blue and a little bit of sienna. And on the bottom part, I'm going to take the sky blue and we're going to drag it all into the bottom of the area where the sand is. And a little bit of white. Now we're going to make the river go fast. We do that by taking a palette knife and just putting a little slice like so of white. Even though you got lots of waves from the waterfall, you want to make this river move. And now I'm going to take the tape off. Let's stand back and look at this little picture now. The rock itself, I think, can use a little bit more darkness into it, so I'm going to take and put a little bit of Prussian blue, a little burnt sienna, a little bit of white, and I'm going to form little colors of darkness between the rocks. So, let's sit back and look at what we've got here. It looks all right. So let's start from the top. The tree's looking okay. Waterfalls okay. Rocks are okay. A little embankment is okay. We could put a little bit more light, I say, in the tree area. So let's take a little brush, take a little bit of yellow. Not much, just a little. Just barely touch. And there we go. And the rocks are good. We could put a little more highlight on the rocks. So let's take a little bit of blue white. Not much, just a little. And these little rocks over here should be a little darker. And since they're above the surface, I'm going to put some little gray grain to them. And we're going to put a little bit of water underneath them. And there's your painting. So I hope you've enjoyed this painting. It's been a lot of fun doing it. It's got lots of little lessons in it. And thanks for watching. Until next time, happy painting. Actually, there's something I should going to do. The top of the waterfall should look like it's blending and falling right over the edge of the water. So to do that, I'm just going to pull the water up a little bit. So there you go. Until next time, happy painting.